Hi, and welcome to episode 6 of Adventures in History. Today we're looking at 3 newspaper articles from the 1800s as I'm fictitiously creating a project for the Treasure Pioneer Museums here in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. We are starting here at the start of the Union Pacific Railroad in Omaha, Nebraska. The newspaper article from 1867 stated that cottonwoods are an indicator of settlement, and the settlements in the Platte Valley already had aged cottonwoods there, indicating that people had been there for some time. Settlement along the railroad was privatized by the federal government to the Union Pacific Railroad that built towns along its tracks. The government was very generous with the Union Pacific by paying the company $32,000 cash per mile and then another $32,000 in bonds for the railroad. These last 2 pictures came from the Union Pacific Railroad website, and they show work along the railroad in the area that we're researching around the time that the newspaper article was published. The newspaper article also describes contact with a friendly branch of the Sioux tribe, the Ogallala. The encounter was a peace talk, with both the Anglos and the Chief Big Mouth expressing desires for peace. The next article I looked at was about the Midwest in the 1890s. And this was another marker of westward expansion. It was about a snowstorm that hit in 1892, 2 years after the close of the frontier. The invention that closed the frontier, the locomotive, was having problems in a blizzard that was wreaking havoc on the western United States. Transportation looked very different in the 19th century, as most people rode trains. Trains were so important that when they went down in the storm, a full-page article was dedicated to explaining what happened. The storm was so bad that it affected traffic from the northwest to Minnesota. Telegraph wires did not work well, and there were special trains that were snowplows that actually cleared the tracks for the other trains. And many of the trains were 4 hours late, and many people were snowed in. The last article I looked at was Give Us a Western Secretary. This was an argument over Western ideology, and the argument over Western ideology is not new. In the news article from 1896, an argument was made that New York should not be made the financial capital of the United States, and the center of economics for the country should be moved to a Western state in order to serve all the states equally. Specifically, the author wanted a Western man to head the Treasury Department. The article states an important Western ideology that still rings true today. The most potent forces of enterprise and progress, its truest patriotism, and its deepest devotion to American principles and institutions are to be found in the West.